Today, we are joined here by our expert speaker, Dr. Anil Makode, VNIT. I request Dr. Radharaman Shah to welcome our guest today. You're welcome, sir. It gives me a great pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest today, Dr. Anil Mokhade, Mokhade, sir, Associate Professor in Department of Computer Science and Engineering at VNIT Nagpur. Dr. Mokhade brings with a remarkable blend of academic excellence and practical experience with PhD in Computer Science Engineering and MTech from prestigious IIT Bombay. He has been part of academic fraternity since 1996. His primary areas of expertise include software engineering, data analytics, requirement engineering, and system engineering. He has guided numerous research scholars and has an impressive publication record comprising international and national conference and journals, and also actively involved in real-world application of technology, having contributed to impactful consultancy projects such as automatic meter reading and data analysis at MSTCL, data warehousing, e-governance, and property tax management. In addition to his academics and technical, Dr. Mohade has prior industry experience and Wipro Infotech and has served in key government roles including Deputy CEO in Rural Development Department, Government of Maharashtra. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Anil Mokhade, a distinguished educator, dedicated researcher, and accomplished professional. Over to you, sir.
Hello. Yeah. Am I audible? Okay. So, good morning, everybody. Yeah. हाँ. Okay. Okay. Good. Good. और ऐसे पॉइंट भी हो जाएगा ना? ओके हाँ एलईडी है हाँ ठीक है ओके very good morning to all of you. First of all, I thank all your coordinators, Mr. Sahu, for inviting me for this particular FDP program at your institution. And also I'm associated with your institution as a Board of Studies member. So I keep coming here in between. And we have got good interaction with your HODs and other staff members. This topic which is given to me as a part of their FDP on AI tools for effective implementation of outcome-based education, right? So the lecture topic is basically personalized learning paths with AI. Now this personalized learning and AI paths and all, these are all new concepts for our teaching community now. Even at the IIT level also, these concepts are new. Because in engineering colleges, when students are admitted, or for that matter any higher education institution you take, whether it is BA, BCom or BTech or MBBS, teacher, I don't know much about MBBS, but I'll talk about rest of the non-medical fields. I find that students are left on their own, and then whatever is the course curriculum, the teachers cover that. After that, exams are conducted and the teachers are rated accordingly. Okay, nowadays, like, we never used to bother about, if teachers give us some marks, we never used to go and question him or her that why you given so less marks, or and if more marks are there, we will be surprised. That we used to be surprised. So that was the thing in those days. But now the scenario is changing, and now with the advent of multimedia and digital world and digital technologies, and then this generation is also like very sharp generation, very smart generation, but we need to tell them about the hard work and also the directed smart work. So that is what is basically coming into personalized domain learning. Because many times I found that in counseling, parents always said to me that my son is very smart or my daughter is very smart. Okay, but then she doesn't study at all. She just studies for 2 hours or 1 hour or even half an hour and goes for examination, but is not getting the marks. But she's very sharp. I said that there is no problem of sharpness. The only thing is that they need to understand what is hard work, right? And what is basically the directed smart work which is required for any study matter. And for that purpose, like even in our education system, we need to tell our students whom we admit in our institutions this smart work plus hard work. How we are going to do that, right? And therefore, we have to understand these concepts. Secondly, like whatever our teaching methodologies have been there so far, were basically part of the rote learning system. Rote learning system in the sense that we used to take some proofs, used to draw some concepts, then we used to tell some problems, and then we used to solve those problems n number of times from students till 12th standard. After that, when they join the engineering colleges or other institutions, then there the problem are not that bulkily taken in the class. Tutorials may be there, but then, okay, to some extent the problem solving is there, but not all that rigorously done as it is done in 12th class. But still, the teachings in other institutions, leave aside NITs and IITs, but in other institutions, it is more or less guided by the modules or the units, we call them as inner syllabus or whatever is content of the syllabus, and based on those modules we question them, and the questions are also mostly of the type of explain, describe, all those kind of questions mostly are there. Though I told in your Board of Studies meeting also that I keep telling teachers that use the analytical words and never use these words called explain or display, describe or those kind of words, but analytical words. Because if one wants to survive in today's world with smartly, there are two skills one is really going to require. One is the analytical approach, analysis of everything which is coming to us. And second is imagination. So the combination of these two things will be coming up in you, and then only you'll be able to contribute meaningfully to this world. Whether you are teacher, professional, or any damn person in this world, whether you are a housewife or a house person or whatever, or even a person who is doing business, everywhere one needs to be analytical and imaginative in order to understand the things going on around us. Now, when we look at the Trump's tariff war, which is being hurled in the world, one needs to be analytical instead of blaming and cursing Trump all the time. We have to see that what opportunities we can get into this catastrophic situation and how best we can survive ourselves. So if you focus on analysis and imagination, then only you'll be able to come out with this. Otherwise, we'll be just cursing Trump and then we'll end nowhere, right? Or we'll be basically going at the bottom line of the whole pyramid, right? So coming back to our discussions on the personalized learning, this discussion is divided into 3 sections: the foundation and foundation of outcome-based education, these foundations, then AI techniques for personalized learning, and integrated learning systems and process mining, where these personalized learning techniques can be of how they are combined together. That we'll see. See, this is a very fast lecture. I'll say that, and none of the topics have gone more in depth. But okay, I tried to give some justification, to whatever depth I covered in this, right? So the first part is like why OBE. Okay, so we'll begin with a story, like the 2 students and 1 system, how they interact with each other. In the same classroom, in the same course, under the same teacher, there were 2 students, Aditi and Ravi. These 2 students are there. Aditi was sharp in theory, but froze when she had to apply it to real world problems. Okay, she was not that much daring to apply that knowledge to the real world problem. Ravi, on the other hand, was struggling with the formal definitions and all the conceptual knowledge and all, but intuitively solved the case-based challenges. So he was more on strategy and operation part, he was much better. Whereas in concept part, the Aditi was much better. By the end of the semester, the system had given both of them the same lectures, the same assignment and the same exams. So they were going through the same process of education. Aditi scored 82 and Ravi got 64. Now according to the system, Aditi succeeded, Ravi did not. Okay, so this is happening, and this is happening everywhere. And we find our students, they say that I'm more practical oriented student, theory padhate rehte hain, and we want practicals, so I'm not bothered about what marks they are given me. Or they are more fearful about, like, if companies are going to shortlist me for their placement interviews and all, then I'll be outshining in the interviews, but they should give me an opportunity. And therefore, then there is a struggle with these students, with the TNP staff that request those companies to shortlist us also above 75 or whatever are there. Okay, so this is how one has to look at this. But then here, what the system didn't see, because they saw Aditi as only the success in the system. Aditi never overcame the discomfort with practical problem solving. And therefore, in India, we have got so many people with this approach, like they are comfortable with the theory part and scored very good marks in that. But when it comes to practical situations, we hardly have any good product developers or good solution orienters. Ravi, after multiple revisions, finally cracked how to write recursive functions, not an exam, but a week after. Okay, so he learned about those concepts which are told in the examination or were asked in the examination, but a week after he mastered those. The truth, both had learned, but only one had demonstrated it in time, the other was left behind. So examination was the only place where they were showing their skills, right? Now imagine a system that saw Aditi's conceptual blind spot and gave her a simulation instead of a summary. Imagine a system that allowed Ravi to retry, and not for grace, but because mastery sometimes arrives late, right? That's the systems we are here to build. That the promise of AI-powered personalized learning in outcome-based education. Okay, so what we want to build up is a system wherein Ravi will also have to be able to show his skills, and Aditi will also overcome her blind areas and will give her the best service to that particular subject area which she wants to learn, right? So the education should be just, not just timely. So education has to be just. It has to ensure that that the student has basically absorbed the things which he was supposed to learn, right? So while outcome-based education defines what learners must achieve, AI and process mining redefine how they get there, right? So we are going to redefine these processes where they go there with precision, personalization, and continuous insight into learning journey itself. So we're going to probe into the learning journey itself, how they are going to attack this learning or going to play this learning journey, right? So definition of outcome-based education. What is this basically? We'll see these concepts quickly. OBE means structuring education around what students must be able to do at the end of their learning experience. So we are able to see that what they are able to achieve or do after learning or going through the learning phases. Emphasizes clear learning outcomes and flexible methods to achieve them. So there are clear-cut learning outcomes which are given and then flexible methods. We deal with this COPO method whenever NBAs are visiting our institution, and that time we look into them, but then we hardly give justice to that whether this year is really matching with my whatever teaching I am doing in the class, right? So she's focused from what is taught and what is learned and demonstrated. So basically we are going to see that what exactly is learned and demonstrated by the student, that is of more importance. Even in our personal teaching also, personal teaching in the sense when whatever subjects I teach, I make a syllabus. I made COs and POs and everything I make. But my focus is then only on COs and POs, and I forget about the syllabus. Then I see that how students are getting what they want. Like for example, I teach software engineering to the third year engineering students, and I see that they get practical experience of this right from the day one. So I give them mini projects, and on those projects I ask them to do it in groups and ask their deliverables over the period of time. And then they basically struggle with that and all, but now with the ChatGPT and all, they feel that their struggle is over. But it is not so. Then I ask them to write down the prompts which are there in the ChatGPT they gave for discovering the answers to their questions. And from those prompts, I can understand that who has given really intelligent prompts, who has given really the depth prompts, and then that person has got a deeper understanding with the system, right? So this is what we have to learn. So what are the outcomes basically? Outcomes are observable, measurable demonstrations of learning. Outcomes are basically observable. You should be able to see that how the outcomes are appearing in the student. And then we need to measure them, because it is said that whatever can be measured can always be improved, right? So measurable demonstration of learning. Use action verbs like design, produce, analyze. Instead of vague, known, like know, understand. These are not the words to be used here. Know and understand words are in the philosophical discussion more proper. But here, when we are deciding about the pragmatics of the subject, there these things will be coming up. Don't take the photographs and all. Now you're going to get everything from you. So don't waste your time in taking photographs. Okay. So then must be defined in terms of performance and competence. So there must be the performance must be basically rated on those whatever way we have got those outcomes to be performed, and the competence level must be measured there. Exit outcomes refer to overreaching capabilities at the end of formal education. So we have got some exit outcomes also at the end of the formal education. So who determines outcome? Right? Should be co-developed by key stakeholders. Who are the key stakeholders? Educators, industry and community. Now here educators, industry and community and student will also be there, but students indirectly participate in this outcome business, right? But students, how the students are participating here? Indirectly, because students then give us feedback on the whatever way we have imparted them the subject teaching, and then based on that we can reshape our outcomes in next years, right? But then you can also do it in a current classes also by taking the feedback in a classroom itself, like what is their understanding level of the subject and what they are learned for the subject. We can ask them the questions and then ask them to be frank with the feedback. But then this is hardly possible in today's time, because students are afraid that if I give a negative feedback, I'm going to get less marks. And this fear has to be driven away from the student's mind. Even in institutions like VNIT, students are still fearful, and then they don't give their sincere feedback. And now we have made a feedback compulsory to be done on the online. Without that, they won't get next semester's registration. But still, that feedback is also very glorified feedback. Nothing concrete is coming up, or nothing analytical is coming up. And this is a sad situation in almost all the institutions in India, all over the places. Whether we go to IITs or whether we go to NITs or go to the triple ITs or ISERs, maybe I don't know that. But no, this is what is the scenario, and therefore we are very bad at this. And this was basically is reflected in our graduates who go to United States of America or European nations, particularly from the software industry. If you look at them, or even in the other industries also, that none of them are contributing to the actual product development or actual products found out. Very few of them are in product development. Why? Because we go by our rote learning systems, and then we employ similar methods there, though we master their technologies and all, but then we become good service providers rather than good product developers. And this is very bad in our situation. And therefore I came out with a new subject in our institution called as Learning from the Software Technical History. And I teach that subject from the product angle, like how the product concepts can be developed by the students right from the beginning, by taking the whole comprehensive view of all the subjects they learn in computer science. And perhaps this subject is, I don't know, like the second batch now, second year, and perhaps the outcome of this subject will be seen when they'll go to the industry, and then they'll reflect their views on the whatever problems they get. And if they get an opportunity and they develop some products, perhaps after 5 years they'll be able to see the outcome of this subject. But still we are changing their mindsets to this direction. And in this subject, since there are less number of teachers, only I am the teacher in this subject, and all over the world I found that hardly there are any teachers in this subject. This subject was offered in one of the universities, but that was also more from the historical point of view, not from the learning from technical history point of view. And I took it as a learning from technical history point of view, and there I sort of give them tutorials, and in those tutorials, these students, they had to analyze the problems and give their solutions analytically, right? And if they are able to put some, in the next batches, I'm going to put something on the actual product development. Right? Here they are analytically and conceptually, they should be able to first think about the product. So that is what is the idea. So basically, the key stakeholders basically determine the outcome, and therefore you will feel a lot of challenges in your definition of subject, defining the outcomes for your own subjects. So formally you define some objects for outcomes for your subject as far as NBA is concerned. But when it comes to actual outcomes, you can reshape them over the period of time by interacting with the students and the community and the industry, and then putting those actual outcomes when you have tested them into your curriculum, right? So in this fashion you have to go about this outcome. I'm also telling you these tips also because see, nowhere in India this personalized learning is so practiced, so such a thoroughly that we can straight away borrow from it there. Even in IITs also, like IIT Hyderabad, I heard that is the first institution which using some AI-based dashboard for monitoring the students. But I don't know like to what depth they have gone there, right? So those details are not worked out that extensively. So the outcome versus time-based models. Traditional education is time-driven, that is semester and the calendars. But OBE is achievement-driven. We need to see that it is achieved something, and time is a variable, not a constraint on it. Marathon versus, it's just like imagine a marathon versus sprint. In traditional system, all students run 100-meter sprint. We got a 3-hour test, we got a 1-hour mid-semester examination or sectional examination. Some make it, some don't make it. That happens in the sprint, right? In OBE, so students are running a marathon. But that marathon is such that everybody has to complete that. The goal is for everyone to cross the finish line, even if at their own pace. So that is what is the idea behind this. Okay. The implication of AI and personalization in this, AI-powered systems can track individual learning trajectories. Adaptive platforms give slower learner more time and scaffolding. And fast learners can move ahead without being held back. Scaffolding means how slowly you develop that student's approach towards that learning, right? So in OBE, the mastery is non-negotiable, time is negotiable. You can negotiate the time, but mastery cannot be negotiated. You need to master. For example, if you go to the players, whether the tennis players or chess players or whosoever are there, they keep on practicing till they master it, right? They don't just say that, okay, I'm going to try this game only for 6 months. After that, I won't do that. Perhaps that may be done by few of our students who are chosen their career as a sports career before 12th class, and then when 12th class approaches, their parents tell them that, okay, boss, now you no more this badminton or whatever sports you have taken, now you must master your studies, right? So basically then it is basically time decided sports and engagement with them. Okay, so the mastery in non-negotiable time is negotiable. The last one I'm reading. This humanizes education while keeping it accountable. So the accountability is very important in education, and therefore you have to see that you have achieved the mastery, and mastery is basically towards accountability. It ensures equity in learning outcomes and not just equity in teaching exposures. So it's just not like you expose them to the teaching. No, teachers always say that whenever there are some discussions on the students' results, they are told, teachers say that I had told them everything. I have given my everything. They justify their aspects. Okay, but then they don't justify that why the students are not able to learn properly. So we need to analyze that also. I'll give an example like in VNIT, about 10 to 12 years back, there was a huge failure in math subject. About 30 to 40% students failed in math subject in the first year. So their parents came and then they started complaining to the director. That time it was principal, and then he said that okay, I'll ask the teacher. And then teacher asked the experts from other IITs and IICs and everybody. Those 3 experts came and they told that nothing doing. The students were taught everything, and that was a rigid time that time. And we were not exposed to any OBE concept and all in those days. And we were very happy that IIT and IIC faculty also certified our teaching methodology. But then we realized over the period of time that that was a bad idea. Now we need to introspect ourselves. Though I don't know whether the institution has introspected itself or not, but I introspected myself, and I felt that if I would have been a teacher at that place, perhaps then today I would have really regretted about that, those failures. I would have gone into the students and then asked them that why they could not understand the differential calculus. They were taught about that and applied nature of differential calculus, right? So these are the things we must introspect ourselves and ready to change for ourselves. There is no point. I mean, there is we don't lose our dignity if we accept our mistakes, right? So because saying sorry and learning from the mistake is the only way to go ahead in this world, right? So the examples of outcome-based models are found in apprenticeship, military training, and professional licensure, skill-based certification, like for example scouting badges, flight schools, etc. These are all basically apprenticeship learnings and outcome-based models. Okay, they see that the pilot, for example, pilot will see that his outcome, he is basically perfectly flying the plane or not. He won't just go by saying that, okay, I have driven the plane for 10 hours, so I'm a good pilot now. It won't be that way. It will be seen that what outcome is showing in those, after those 10 hours. If they are rating to the mastery level, then he will be certified as good pilot. Otherwise, he'll need to practice again. Okay, so that's the real world mastery system. Okay, and the value of the mastery. Not just attendance or time spent on the thing, right? So key differences with from traditional education. OBE is basically requiring flexible time, criteria reference assessment, macro focus, and mastery oriented. Okay, so out of that I'll talk about the criteria reference assessment. You got some criteria for assessment. So you decide that marks is not the only criteria for assessment, but what understanding they got for understanding that particular subject. after recursion, no, for example, we are learning recursion. They should be able to understand like what is the endpoint of the recursion and then in what manner it is going to repeat itself in the loop. Okay, so that will be the understanding of the student in order to tell about the recursion concept. Maybe for other subjects like in mechanical engineering, we got a fluid power as a concept, and then in fluid power, we have got a turbulent flow and the laminar flow, and all these flows, and we will explain them about these concepts, and then we'll tell them that students will be able to distinguish between what is laminar and the turbulent flow based on the properties shown by the flow, right? So that should be the learning outcome. Okay, so I just made it roughly, but you can more sharpen it by your own way of those subject teachers according to what assessment criteria you got. Then macro focus also is there. Macro means some broad focus should also be there, and not only going into the depth, but also some broad areas also. And then they should be able to apply towards the mastery oriented. What do you know mastery oriented? That they should be able to apply those concepts to practical situations. Then only we'll say that they have achieved the mastery. Not full practical development will be possible, but in the limited time we have got and in the limited resources we have got in an education institution, but they should be able to reflect on the product part of the whatever theory concepts they are taught. Okay. Then traditional is basically fixed time, norm reference, grading, and segmentation and performance filtering. So these are all the traditional methods, and then some of them are useful, some of them are not. You can decide about their usefulness. Okay. About that usefulness, only thing which is I feel is that segmentation is only the useful thing I see that which can be used in the our OBE concept. Because in segmentation we can modularize our subject in such fashion that, or divide our learning in such fashion that they're getting the doses properly and then incrementally learning themselves. So in that fashion we can apply this. So the OBE pyramid structure, the foundational aspects of this structure are, paradigm is success is equal to learning plus demonstration. They must demonstrate that learning. Like somebody has learned the concepts, so I divide this, instantly I tell you this, how I teach this, any terms in the class or any aspect of the subject. I created a meta framework called as concept, strategy and operation framework. Now this is not given in any of the engineering books as such, though they are given in scattered fashion. Okay. What is this concept, strategy and operation? So I talk, so whenever they are, we are explaining something, it will always fall into any of these three categories, or all the three will be present, or all the two will be present there. Concept. So for example, this FDP class itself, FDP, Faculty Development Program, it's a concept basically, right? It's a concept on which you are going to develop your faculty, because you want to develop your faculty for the development of the institution so that they participate in the growth of the institution. That is what is the idea behind this concept. So this is a philosophical and conceptual understanding of this FDP concept. Then we come to the strategy. So what strategies you employ for this faculty development program? So one thing is the classroom teaching to them, short workshops of say 1 week or so 5 days or 3 days or whatever. So this is one strategy you employ. The other strategy you employ is that you ask those teachers to demonstrate their teachings on some subject area and in some manner, or ask them to arrange some lectures or organize some lectures or some demonstrations, and that is how we develop the faculty development program. And then when we see the operation part, there are two ways to see the operation then. One is some laboratory in the sense that for FDP, if having some working classes, then you can have that FDP there, operation part, wherein you are going to employ whatever concepts and strategies you have learned here into that by demonstrating it there. And the other is your real life on your students, where you are going to operate those things, whatever you have learned in these FDP classes. So anything can be basically divided into concept, strategy and operation framework, and then you can start learning that. Now this conceptual operation and strategy and operation framework gives you ability to remain connected with the base from which you derive that knowledge. That is what is the difference of this particular thing, and that is basically part of your success or learning. And this is what is not given in this book also, which I referred, but I found that I can be applying it here in this manner. Okay, so paradigm is that success is equal to learning plus demonstration. The purpose is equip all students for life after school, right? So basically our focus is not just to make them pass this institution and aap pass hoke chale jao fir hame pata nahi. That should not be our attitude. Our attitude should be such that you are going to develop these systems, you are going to be part of the systems in which we are all going to remain as the citizens of this country and citizens of this world. And if you are there, part of that system, then we expect that you perform on those systems in a competitive manner. Okay, so that is what is our idea of equipping students with this, with our education. Premise, all students can learn. Success beats success. schools control conditions for learning. So basically this is the premise on which we act. And then principles are that power 4, clarity of focus. We should be very clear in our focus. We should not be opaque. We should be focused on what exactly we want to impart to the students, so that students will be able to build up the products or build up the or go to the problem solving. Expanded the opportunity. It should basically expand their minds when they learn about these things. They should be able to apply. It should go into generalized intelligence with them. It should not be very stereotype intelligence applying only to that situation. They should become a generalized intelligent people. Like for example, if suddenly some fire erupts here, some of the brave persons in you who have got already common sense of doing away with this fire, they'll employ that kind of techniques. Others will employ some saving techniques. Somebody will break the glasses, somebody will break the doors, and then will draw away. From where we got all this strength? From the generalized intelligence, right? So these are the generalized intelligence should be, all our learning should be basically equipping them with a generalized intelligence, right? So we should be clarity of focus, an expanded opportunity, and high expectations. High expectations in the sense that not the marks wise, but the outcome wise, the learning wise, and the design down. Now to the last level we should be able to design these downs, these principles. So that is what we are supposed to do. So clarity of focus, everything begins with a clear, shared and targeted outcome. Curriculum, instruction, assessment must align to this goal. Teachers as facilitators for visible, performance-based objectives. So clarity of focus is there. Then expanded opportunity, learners get multiple chances, diverse methods and timing flexibility, right? Now these dimensions include time, modalities, access, performance standards and curriculum structure. These are all very well understood by everybody. Then incorporate Howard's Gardner's multiple intelligence. We are not just teaching them for IQ improvement, intelligence quotient improvement. We are much more than that. So we are talking about the Howard's Gardner's multiple intelligence. He talked about the 9 multiple intelligence. Everybody has got these, and much more than that. But he structured them in this fashion: linguistic, logical, mathematical, spatial, musical, body kinesthetics, interpersonal, intrapersonal, naturalistic, existential. So all these intelligences are there in students. And that is why companies like Google and all are employing even a psychologist, even a BA graduate, even an arts person for making the software products. Why? Because they know that every perspective should be going into that product. And they are basically talking about the user interface and what exactly the usages of those products the people are going to use them for, and those all intelligence should be reflected in that product. Okay, and therefore all these intelligence should be basically, and every person has got this kind of intelligence. Only thing is that to what degree one has developed them, what degree one has brought them out, right? And therefore, that is why any project, the teamwork is very important, because every person in the team is contributing in a different manner, right? And therefore, this is what is basically important for this intelligence is concerned, right? The high expectation, raise performance standards across all student groups, eliminate competitive grading, that is bell curve, and widen access to challenging content. So you give some high expectations of performance standards, keep them very high, but then that doesn't mean that you're going to give only grades on that. Now you're going to rate them according to their performances, and then those who could not perform, you're going to give them more opportunities to improve themselves later. But then with the constraints of our marking system and everything, we have to carry out with the grading ability. But then we can find out some mean. I came to in Italy, one of the students of my council few years back, he went for a master's degree in some university. I don't remember the name of that university, but in that university he told me that they have got an examination system in which when the student is ready, he goes to the teacher and tells that, sir, I am ready today, so or you can take my examination anytime this week. Okay, and then student takes that, student is allowed to give his examination. And if he doesn't perform, he tells teacher that, sir, please don't check this paper. I'm not interested in this mark. I'll improve upon and I'll come a bit later. And then he comes again and then he prepares again, and then that's how he passes the examination. This is allowed in that university, and that university has got some Nobel laureates also there. So why not in India also we should try such kind of things, examinations. At least for some subjects we can have these kind of examination. That's given students full opportunity, at least 3-4 opportunities to give them, and don't call them as re-examination. So we should remove that stigma from there, and then we should basically help them out in this manner. And that will really bring out a good persons in the society who will be basically working on our problems in a realistic way. Okay, so this is what is basically challenging for us. No institution, even IITs also don't have these facilities in India, but then we can have. And then when your institution get autonomy, you can also try and solve the subjects. At least audited subjects you can have. Right? You'll get an audit certificate provided you, give your viva in this manner. If you don't give satisfactory viva, you again come back later. And then whenever you want to clear in 4 years' time, you can clear this subject. Okay, so that ability we can try with, and we can work on this expectation part, right? And then design down principles. Begin with a culminating outcome. Design curriculum backward, remote discrete or non-essential content if it doesn't support enabling outcomes, and encourage essentialism and coherence in curriculum design. What is essentialism? Like whatever is essential for that moment or for that particular time, what that subjects matter is very important. Only those essential components are there in the syllabus. And they are coherent in the sense that one unit is dependent or integrated with the other unit. So in that fashion, that is called as coherence. That is how you should do design. So you have to spend a lot of time in basically working on your syllabus. Okay. See, what happens is we are basically on the board of studies of Government College of Engineering, Amravati also, and there we spend a lot of time on asking them to design their syllabus. Still, the teachers are transferred then, when we give them some kind of advice and all. And then again we go back to those institutions for next BOS meeting, and then we have to again start from the zero. Okay, so that should not happen. So we should create systems in our institution wherein whatever was discussions were taking place, those should be documented either digitally or physically. And then even if the teacher has left the institution, still that continuity is there in those exercises which are done. Okay, so incidentally I'm telling you these practical aspects also when you are dealing with such changes in your institution. Then first identify what you want the students to demonstrate by the end of the course or program, and then you design everything else backward from that point. It means that you have to see that what outcomes the course is going to have, and then you decide about the syllabus, what you're going to put in the syllabus. This is a backward way of developing this syllabus for this kind of operations. Then operational and systematic application. OBE transform not just teaching but credentialing the system, curriculum articulation, instructional process, promotional placement policies. So these are basically transform in your institution. So you will have to see that what are the credentials the system is giving you. You have to find out what credentials this particular thing is going to give you. By this I mean to say that if this subject is taught to the students, what qualities and what will be their growth in that subject, what skills they will be showing, what conceptual understanding they will be showing, those must be articulated properly. If you are able to articulate those things properly, then those credentials will be coming out. Then curriculum articulation, you should be able to articulate your curriculum in such fashion that you should know that every part of the curriculum is basically targeting which particular skill of the student. Then instructional process, how you're going to put those things into process of instruction. Now what instructions you give to the your staff, that they will basically convert it into kind of methods which are required to be imparted to the students for teaching. Then promotion and placement policies. Now what are the promotion and placement policies based on these skills? In your institution, how the industry is basically made aware of that. And therefore I feel that whenever industries give here their placement talks here, before that institution should give a talk on what kind of students we are having. You should have a basically general profile of the students you are preparing for any industry, and give that to the students. I'm going to suggest this idea to our training and placement department also. I got this idea when I was preparing for this FDP program, and I thought that we struggled to bring students for a placement talks of the companies. Pre-placement talks are there of the companies. But then I felt that we should tell these companies that, okay, these are the type of students we are having. Do you have jobs for these or not? Tell us that. And then industry should be attracted towards us in that manner. Okay. And then we should keep it in such manner that how industry will be attracted. So that articulation is very important here. Then strategic alignment must occur across administrative and teaching functions. Why? That one has to really look. So this lead to you, like why strategic alignment must occur across administrative and teaching functions. Okay, I'll try to help you out in some answers. To successfully implement OBE and personalized learning with AI, you cannot confine reforms and innovations to just the classroom. Okay, there must be intentional coordination between academic goals, teaching, learning, assessment, and administrative system, that is what policies your institution is having, resources, evaluation, and leadership. So it's just not teachers' responsibility. Let me tell you to all the FDP team and the FDP organizers that these are very important aspects for any personalized learning system to be successful in your institution. So what institutional policies you are having, what resources you give to the teachers, what are the evaluation policies of the teachers also, as far as their promotional possibilities are concerned, and also the students, and what leadership basically is given by your institution to the very different teachers. Because we find that there are, see, this politics is part of every organization. It is always there. But should it be converted into dirty politics or healthy politics? It depends on the staff there, right? So one has to adjust with the our colleagues and find out like what are the best possible strengths of those colleagues, and then why not focus on that, and then they will be able to overcome their weaknesses. Why this alignment is needed? Teacher might design the outcome-based assessment, offer flexible learning opportunities, and use AI tools to monitor learning patterns. So these are all teachers have done. But if administrators continue using rigid grading systems, or don't recognize or fund tech-driven learning, or expect time-based progress instead of mastery, the entire effort collapses under the structural conditions. Okay, and therefore we need to understand that they require resources, they require a flexible grading policy. Of course, that is not possible, but still I mentioned it here ideally, so that you can think about this grading possibility also. So then there are methods for that then. So what we do in our institution, I do in my subjects, that we have got a rigid following in session and the marks wherever we have to award marks directly based on some proofs they give directly in black and white, right? So their end sem marks and the mid sem marks, they are basically given as per whatever they perform in the paper, right? But their 50% marks are in our hands to be given to them based on how they solve the problem. And there I give them a lot of opportunities. They ask for, I give them some deadline, and then they just before a deadline they say that, so please give us extend this deadline. Then I don't extend on my hand. I said that, okay, how much more time you want? You tell me. And then they discuss among themselves and they say that, okay, so 2 days will be sufficient. And then I never had to extend that beyond those 2 days then. Because then that thing has come from them. They assess themselves, they have rated their progress, and then they assess that, okay, we will require another 2 days for this. And then they have consensus among themselves, and then everybody agrees that we should maximum take 2 days for this. Teacher has given us. Teacher, I don't give them that, okay, 9th is the date, today there is another submission of my subject, so 9th is the date, okay, 10th should be the date then next day. I don't give from my side. It should come from their side, right? And that really adds some flexibility. Then I conduct them evaluation on those, whatever they have done. And then I call them as interaction. I don't call them as Viva and all that. I don't call them as evaluation exercise. I call them that it's basically interaction. On that, I'll just start to assess that how you are participated in the development of that particular problem solution. And then I ask them simple questions, what they have learned from that, what is their contribution, and in what manner they want to improve upon. And these 3 questions, the students have to answer those questions. If they really worked hard on the problems, they'll ask in a different manner. If the student who has just superficially worked on that, he'll answer or she'll answer in a different manner. And then I give them marks accordingly. Okay, so that is I do. But then I give them quite a good marks in those subjects internally, so that they should not be unnecessarily facing any problems in their learning part. Okay, so this is how I manage these things. So basically, the grading policy is very rigid on institutions. Then funds should be provided to the teachers. Expect time-based progress instead of instead of mastery. So mastery should be expected from the teachers instead of time-based progress. So in this manner, this structural contradiction should be avoided. Okay, where the strategic alignment is needed? Teaching faculty and administrative policy. So we have talked about all these things earlier also. But technology I'll talk about now. Use LLMs, AI tutors and dashboards. These are teaching faculty's job. Administrators, policy support, fund license, training and data infrastructure. Now here I'll talk about like this LMS. Okay, learning management systems and AI tutors. So learning management system is basically Moodle and all those learning management system we use, or Google Classroom we use, right? But AI tutors have added another dimension to that. Now whether we should use ChatGPT or whether we should allow our students or not. In our institution, when ChatGPT came into this world, most of the teachers were saying that we should not allow our students to use ChatGPT. And I said that moment you start saying that no, students are going to use it. Definitely they are going to use it. And then students were reluctantly using, and one day they had a problem of some database problem they were not able to handle. And then so I asked them like, and it was industry-based problem, and then since database, I had not taught long time, I taught it much earlier. So So, and then it was a newer area which has come up because of the distributed databases and all that conceptualization was there. So I was not knowing about the practical parts of that particular concept that deeply. Okay. So I said that why not ask ChatGPT of all your problems then? So the teacher humko gussa ho jayenge. That is what they said. I said, what is there? You are already seeing that. You are just telling me that teacher gussa hoenge, but you are already seen it. Why not look at this problem and then go to the teacher and then put it in a question form, whatever you have learned from that, and say that if aisa kiya to kaisa rahega? Let teacher think then. Okay, and then they did exactly same way, and then teacher started saying, okay, we'll have to do in that manner. And then I said to the teachers also that we should ask what prompts they give to this ChatGPT and any other LLMs they use. Of course, not all teachers have accepted that. Our research methodology classes which teach the our research scholars, PhD scholars, they discourage ChatGPT usage and all, but I encourage them. I said that you can become more smarter by using this ChatGPT and other LLMs, provided you give good prompts. Because this prompt is going to put another kind of programming ability in the students, like what intelligently or what articulately they can give those prompts to the to the LLMs or these AI softwares, so that they can get better answers. And this is where your semantic abstraction comes into picture. This is another concept which is coming up. Which is not, there is not much literature on this concept as such, but I found that this semantic abstraction is part of your prompts which you give to these LLMs. And these semantic abstractions are nothing but what meaningful information you are given to these cognitive tools which we are using for our betterment and for our students' betterment, right? So in this manner, you have to look at this strategic alignment. Real example in India, faculty member uses Moodle AI-based quiz analytics to personalize feedback for students. If administration allows flexible reassessment windows and support Moodle logs for audit, this creates synergy. But if attendance-based internal marks override performance evidence from Moodle, the alignment breaks. Okay, so if the performance-based marks are there, then there will be attendance-based marks are there, then there will be problem, right? So see, this performance-based evidence should be there and not the attendance-based evidence. Because students sit there in the class and then they watch mobiles and all. What's the fun, right? So you should straightway say them that keep their mobiles on the top of the table first, and then only sit in the class. Otherwise, please walk out of the class, don't bother about the attendance, we'll manage your attendance, right? So that freedom you give to the student, but then you can't give this freedom to your institution. In my institution also, it is compulsory 75% attendance. So I tell students to do all the tricks for that, in the sense that if they want to attend my classes, they need to keep their mobiles on the table. That is what I tell them, right? In the institutions like BITS Pilani, they have got a zero attendance policy. Whether students attend classes or not, it is not bothered by the management. Management tells teachers to conduct the classes, record the teachings, and give those teachings on the LMS system. That is what is the compulsion on them. And then in the senior classes, in the first year, a lot of students attend classes initially for a few months, and then after that they start bunking the classes. Then hardly any students go to those classes in the first year. But from second year onwards, serious students start attending the classes. So the optimum level of students which are required for teachers that who are really serious and who participate in the discussions in the class, those only are attending the classes. And that is really beauty of that system. That has evolved over the period of time. It's just not one day's exercise, but it has to let evolve. Now even in NITs and IITs that is not followed. I don't know IITs, but NITs, the 75% attendance is really a bit harsher rule. I don't know how they are going to overcome that. So I do some tricks to overcome that. Okay. So this is, this I told you only on record, but then don't give it much publicity, right? So then why it's crucial in AI age? AI tools need data flow across teaching and admin systems, LMS, ARP assessment, etc. Outcome tracking needs both instructional intent and institutional support. And scaling innovation requires coordination, not just passion from the faculty, right? So you require to coordinate many activities there for LMS and all. So in OBE teaching cannot succeed in isolation unless leadership, scheduling, assessment policies, IT infrastructure, and faculty development are aligned to support outcome-focused strategies. Even the best classroom efforts may be neutralized, right? So in this manner, you have to look at. Achha, have you done all these things earlier in the earlier FDP lectures? Okay, fine. So summary of OBE basics. Outcomes are performance-based and measurable. Curriculum assessments are flexible tools to achieve those outcomes. Time is variable. Learning is constantly evolving. Implementation varies based on macro versus micro outcomes, and 4 principles must be applied consistently and creatively. Right? Those 4 principles we talked earlier about. Now here I said that learning is constantly evolving. Here we are basically matching with the one of our program outcomes is basically lifelong learning. Okay, and that is how this learning is constantly evolving thing must be linked to, right? So OBE elements in practice, clarity of focus. Every course outcomes has linked to program outcomes and program specific outcomes as per AICTE model. For example, in course database, CO must be design AR models for real world systems, right? Then expanded opportunity, use learning management system like Moodle, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapith's AVU, allow multiple quiz attempts, video based learning and re-evaluation, ensuring students get second chance to demonstrate outcome. So we can have our quiz designed in such fashion that students will keep giving them. So we can keep saying, okay, 5 tries you can give at the most. Now because of our grading policy, we cannot give them infinite times. So let us say that put 4 or 3 attempts. I can generally conduct that quiz and I gave them the best of the 2 attempts. Because in my subject there are more than 100 students registered. Even electives are there. Okay. So it's very difficult for me to manage everything and give them repeated quizzes and all. So I give them best of the 2 and then they get enough opportunities to improve themselves. Right? So in the first quiz, if they got, say, out of 30 marks, they got only 10 marks or 5 marks or 8 marks. In the next quiz, they'll get about 15 marks. Right? So that is how, and then I say that if you only give around 20 marks in this quiz, it's more than enough. Right? So I just don't go by highest marks and all that, scored very good, about 30 out of 30 and all. I don't go by that stuff. Because there are certain questions in the quiz that should not be at all answered by the students. They should only get an idea that how difficult the questions can be in life. That is what is the purpose of the questions in the quiz also. Right? Then high expectations. Student must demonstrate minimum attainment level 60% or more across all COs. Grades are linked to whether the students has met, exceeded or not met each outcome, not relative performance. And design down. Curriculum is designed backward from exit level outcomes. For example, CS graduate must be able to apply AI for societal problem solving. Then courses and modules are structured to build towards this capability, right? So we are now planning to open a travel management center, travel technology management center in our school, in our college, travel technology development center. Okay, we are yet to submit our proposals to Government of India and all, but we are moved from backward there. Like we are seeing the travel society and what we want to do with their technologies and how to integrate that with the modern technology, and based on that then we are developing our curriculum, right? So that's the approach we are following in that travel technology development related courses in our institution. So then integration of AI and learning analytics. Institutions like VIT, SRM and IITH use AI enabled dashboard to track the outcome attainment, learning analytics to predict students at risk for underperforming. This learning analytics is very big exercise, and then your institution need to do that. When I was doing for our institution this up to last December's data, this learning analytics, and there I found that very glaring facts about our institution. I came to know that which branches are doing better and which branches are doing really average and which students are doing really below 6 CGPA, and how there's a big gap between high performing students and the low performing students, and then we are able to now suggest a lot of useful suggestions to the various departments. So the report will be submitted soon. But then this learning analytics gives you a lot of information. It's just sort of formality to be done for the submission to the AICTE or submission for NBA. But you must learn from this. In fact, your learning analytics itself will show you many areas where you can improve. Where teachers should be improved upon, where students should be improved upon, which students should be targeted. You can go to the micro level and target, like find out where which students have achieved D in all subjects and they have cleared all subjects, but then they are as good as failed students, right? So what best you can do for them to achieve their best results, right? Then AI and ML model analyze LMS interaction logs, internal assessment and project submissions, student feedback and peer evaluation. These are all advanced things, but then you can give some projects to your students to develop these LMS interaction logs. Based on this LMS interaction log, what analytics you can draw for these systems, right? The example, waste management module in environment engineering, for example. Exit outcome, demonstrate application for sustainable engineering practice to waste treatment and management. What is enabling outcome? CO, analyze characteristics of solid waste and propose treatment system. This is the outcome the student should be able to do after learning from this. Now I have taken this example because everybody is associated with waste. We generate a lot of waste and we dispose also waste in relative manner, like whatever is our understanding with respect to waste. Okay, performance task, design a model for e-waste segregation and recycling for urban campus, right? So you can have urban campus in your own institution, your dustbin itself should signal to your dashboard that, okay, I am occupied, fully occupied now, you can empty me now. Okay, and then that signal goes to the van and van will go there and pick it up. So that is the kind of application you want to develop. So evaluation, rubrics for design thinking. So design thinking is basically empathetic with the staff. Like whoever are designing that particular e-system, have they interacted with the bottommost staff, the persons who basically used to collect the garbage in our institution, the sanitary workers? Have they interacted with the drivers of the vehicles? Have they interacted with the security guards? Have they interacted with the students who are basically creating this waste, or faculty who are creating this waste, and they are responsible for disposing their own waste, right? So these are all the design thinking aspects. Feasibility should be also be seen, like you should see that possibility of implementing that model, and then communication, physical communication as well as the other communications which are coming up from that particular application. Tracked and mapped to PO1, that is engineering knowledge, PO3 design and development, and PO7 environment and sustainability. So in this manner you can have this waste management module. So example of smart waste management monitoring system in computer science, exit outcomes. So that was in other subject, this is in computer science. Design and implement intelligent system integrating AI and IoT to solve societal problems such as waste management. Now enabling outcomes, CO, develop a software prototype using sensor data and AI models to monitor and manage waste levels in real time. Okay, so no word is basically ambiguous here. Every word is basically conveying you the information what you want, right? What this outcome is basically doing. You cannot have dual meanings of these outcomes, right? So they are basically taking you to a particular direction. Performance tasks, build a smart waste bin monitoring system using IoT sensors, ML-based fill level part prediction, and a cloud dashboard for real-time data visualization. So I already talked about all these picture I already given you. Now this is basically performance tasks we can put that into, right? So why this is articulately important? Because students understand from this that what they need to do. Then evaluation, reviews based on problem definition, system architecture, algorithmic design, software engineering practices, and ethics, right? So these are the things which are coming up. So in the ethics part, we have talked about the communication skills, and the environment and sustainability part is coming up as policies and ethics. Again, modern tool usage coming as part of software design, engineering practices, then design and development solutions, algorithmic design, and the system architecture, and problem definition and all will be coming up in engineering knowledge. So all these things are basically, this rubric is helping you to draw. See, it need not be that every element I showed there is structurally falling only on one PO. It can stretch in other POs also, right? But then degree to which it has stretched, based on that we assigned it to that particular PO. So the outcome, outcome monitoring process used in NBA accredited colleges. Each CO is assessed via direct tools, quizzes, assignment, and mini projects, and indirect tools like student feedback and alumni survey. Now this is a really headache exercise for all of us to do all this CO-PO mapping, right? And then I found out one beautiful method, but my college has yet to accept that method. I go by whatever marks they got in the end sem examination, and based on that, what COs, I see that whosoever has got good marks has got all the COs, and then based on that, degraders might be might have been basically able to absorb CO1 and CO2. Okay, and in this manner, I label those students, and then I assign them the weightages, and then I collect their feedback, an alumni survey, and I combine them together and then do my CO-PO mapping. But of course, that is yet to be accepted by my institution. So there are weightages and all, CO-PO mapping. Attainment data used to revise teaching strategies and offer bridging modules, that is personalized tutorials, peer sessions, right? So impact and challenges. Impact, improved student accountability and ownership of learning, personalized interventions for students with low attainment, and data-driven teaching innovations and AI-augmented learning strategies. What are challenges? Faculty training in assessment design and data interpretation. These will be challenges. Again, integrated AI tools with a legacy LMS system. This is the biggest challenge. And continuous curriculum refinement to match fast evolving technologies. Because when we look at the AI, the advent of AI since last 3-4 years of time, we see that we are at a very, very beginning level of AI just like we were there when computers were introduced, desktops were introduced in our country, at what computer knowledge level we were all there at that time, that is what is our level with the AI now. Now we are yet to take the full grasp of what AI is going to deliver. And when you start interacting with your LLM intelligently and more in a cognitive manner and more like a friend and philosopher and guide, and then you find that this LLM can deliver you so many things which you'll be surprised. Even the professors of MIT are also surprised by the outcomes which they are getting from these LLM models, large language models or AI tools they're given, right? So we are just began our journey. So we should be ready for surprises, and then we should expect some magic from that. And only those people who are believe in magic, not in superstitious way, but magic in the sense that surprising things are going to occur. Because whenever we go for magic show, we know that there is no godly things that magician is having. He's just putting some tricks there and making us fool by hiding some things here and there, and in a fraction of seconds taking out those things. But we expect that magic, and whenever we go with our children to those magic shows, we become like our children and we enjoy that magic. So that is the magic we should enjoy with LLMs. Okay. So we understood the foundations of outcome-based education, its clarity, flexibility, and focus on performance. But implementing these ideals at scale with consistency and responsiveness is where traditional systems often fall short. This is exactly where AI-based tools come in as enablers of precision, personalization, and continuous alignment with learning outcomes. So we'll see now how this is there. So AI techniques for personalized learning. This is what is basically the lecture we want to give. We have to create this background so that you'll be able to quickly absorb this. Because then this is basically simply, if I tell you these things, blah, 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 and then you'll be able to absorb that. Okay, wherever I want to highlight, I'll highlight that. So AI techniques enable personalized learning in OBE. Personalization is not about giving every learner different book. No, we are not giving every learner different book. It's about giving every learner right moment of challenge or support exactly when it matters. Okay, so at right time, he should be or she should be supported, right? This quote captures the essence of modern pedagogy. True personalization isn't about content variety alone. It's about timing, insights, and adaptations. Like insights is very important thing here, because insights depends on the maturity of the teachers and to what extent they have made their students also to become mature. Like I'm interacting with some final year students now, and those students are really, their wavelength matches with my wavelength, and they also become mature like me then, right? That is what I'm seeing in them. And then I ask them to organize some programs and all for their students and all. They give a lot of good inputs now. Those inputs I also want to give, but they are coming from them now. This is basically where you match your wavelength with the students, and they also allow them to grow by questioning them, right questions. Now put them questions. Don't be in a hurry to give them all the answers at once. You put that in a question form. Now let us now get introduced to the three foundational AI techniques that drive personalized learning paths in real-world educational system. Think of them as brain, guide, and the peer for your AI-based classroom. So you are coming from all these three. You require a brain, you require a guide, and you require your co-companion in this journey. So these AI tools are basically in that form only. So the Bayesian knowledge tracing, this is one technique. The brain, diagnosing what the learner knows, right? So it is basically putting a diagnosis on what is the learner's capacity and to what extent he has achieved that. So BKT works like a smart diagnostic engine. Based on a student's correct or incorrect answer, it continuously estimates the learner's mastery level of each concept. It has answers like, has the learner mastered the recursion yet? Okay. If not, it prompts the reinforcement. A new example, a simpler problem, or even a retry. Why it is useful in OBE? It ensures mastery-based progression, where students move forward only after achieving learning outcomes and not just after completing a module, right? So the purpose is tracks how well the student has mastered specific concept over time. Mechanism based on probability updates after each learner's interaction, that is quiz or assignment. It analyzes them. In OBE terms, it helps to ensure learners demonstrates mastery of course outcomes and not just passes an examination. It demonstrates those things. Simple example, if a learner fails a question on recursive function, the system just doesn't mark wrong, it infers conceptual incompleteness and modifies the learning path. It gives him analysis of that, why he couldn't, why his answer was inadequate there. Okay, and then, or even if it is quiz, if I have chosen those answers, then why he failed to, why he was attracted towards those negative answers. Because they were almost similar kind of answers were there, but the exact answer was only one of the options. So why they tend to go into those other options? And then we should match that psychology with that, and then turn them towards the exactness. So this is how you have to do this from this insights you should draw from these tools, right? Then reinforcement learning is second tool. The guide basically chooses the next best step. Reinforce is basically giving some award, kind of thing. So while BKT diagnosis, RL decides what to do next, like an adaptive GPS for learning. Like it's a GPS, we adapt to GPS and then go to the places, various places, based on what GPS is showing now, right? Based on learner's behavior, time spent and task completion and errors, it recommends the optimal learning activity, whether to advance, to review, or branch to the parallel skill. If the performance of the students is not coming up in quizzes properly, then you decide that, okay, you have to relearn few of the topics in this fashion. That is what this tool is basically giving you signal, right? In OBE, RL supports the principle of expanded opportunity, where learners get multiple strategic chances to meet outcomes, each tailored to their journey. Then if some students are really not mastered that thing, then they need given, just like in our school, colleges, we give summer schools for them. Okay, but summer schools are all like stigma, they are coming on students. We should do away with all this stigma concept in life. Because failures in practical life, if some industrialist fails, or in some industry, many products fail and then one of the products shines. Right? That doesn't mean that then the industry discards all those engineers who have done that. And best example is like Edison's discovery of or invention of electricity and bulb, right? So it is said that, I don't know whether it is true or not, but it is said this story about this, that he tried 1,000 materials for that filament of that bulb, right? And then he said that after every failure, he said that I came to know that this is not working. This particular element is not working here, or this particular compound is not working here. I need to try some other. And then he discovered or invented another material filament in that manner. So was he rated as bad inventor at that time? No, he is rated still as the best inventor in the world. So why should then unnecessarily blame students for basically if they failed in the subjects, then we should rate them bad. That is really bad practice. Now we are looking at them from the employing them for the purpose of some kind of we can say the Britishers has to employ us for their own works. So for that purpose we are seeing that class. Okay, so we should come out of that mentality now, right? The reinforcement learning purpose is learns optimal teaching strategies based on student performance, feedback, and reward system mechanism. Each learning decision, for example, suggest a video or quiz or peer task, is a move in a policy space. In OBE terms, learner is guided not just to complete a task, but to maximize outcome attainment over time. Example, for an outcome like design secure network system, the RL agents may choose simulation exercises for struggling learners, but project-based tasks for advanced learners. So we can have distinction between the learners, and then we can give them the treatment accordingly. So these are this reinforcement learning tools will be able to give you. Collaborative filtering is the third tool which you can use. The peer learning from similar learners, right? SAFe is what powers your Amazon and Netflix recommendations, and now your LMS too. Like you see the movie and then you go by recommendations. Like how many people have seen this movie and what is the recommendation on that? You buy many products on Amazon and then you go straight away jump to the recommendation and then find out like what AI recommendation is there and what the people are already actually given that recommendation, right? And then so here also similar fashion, it uses the experience of other learners with similar profile to suggest effective videos, practice problems, peer-reviewed project templates. In OBE, CF democratizes learning. Learner benefit from what worked for others and build confidence through peer pathways. So this will be useful for us in our, basically every teacher, every institution will have to put their video exercises on the net now. Okay, and then their future students are going to refer to that. So you can look at the Khan Academy. It has got about thousands of videos now playing there, and hundreds and thousands of students watch their video at any point of time. Okay, and those videos have really contributed a lot to the learning environment. Okay, so we need to also follow similar kind of exercises. We need to do in our own subjects and put those videos and then let the students rate them. And then you'll find that Now suppose you are teaching a subject. So first year you received some rating. Next year you put some fresh videos. Keep those videos also and these fresh videos also. And then with the new videos you'll find your performance has improved, right? Because you are open to the suggestions from the, whatever suggestions that come from the learners, and then you have employed that in your teaching. I employ that in my teaching. I get a lot of feedback. I individually collect my own feedback, and that feedback is given to me by hardly 10 or 15 students. 15 is very high number, but those feedback are really good feedback which I receive on my own. I say that I'm not going to use it in any manner. You need not have to write your names on that, but you have to give me a feedback on my subject teaching, and that's how I improve upon my subject, right? So this is how you have to look at these principles. Okay, so collaborative filtering, learning from similar learners. CF is what powers Amazon, Netflix that we have seen. It uses experience of other learners with similar profiles and suggests effective videos, practice problems, peer-reviewed projects, templates. In OAB, this collaborative filtering democratizes learning. Learners benefit from what works for others and build confidence through peer pathways. Right? Collaborative filtering's purpose is recommend content based on similarities in learner's profile and past behaviors. Mechanism: learner resource interaction matrix factorized into latent preferences and capabilities. In OBE term, it automates the bridging of weak COs by connecting learners to peer tested resources. Example is, a student is weak in software architecture is shown the same video or GitHub repo that help other similar students, and then he can look at that video properly. So this is what is happening in the this collaborative filtering tool, right? So individually these techniques are powerful, but when integrated they form a continuous learning loop. Track, adapt, suggest a mode aligned perfectly with the outcome based mindset. Okay, so in this manner we are able to track, we are able to adapt, and we are able to suggest the alternatives for various levels of tracking and adaptation, and based on that so everything is related to the outcome based which we have thought about. Okay, so now we have seen how AI can personalize the learner's journey using BKT, RL and CF by tracking mastery, guiding next steps and recommending resources. But let me ask you this: how do we know if entire system, not just the learner, is working as intended? Are learning paths too long? Are students getting stuck in the predictable places? Is one strategy working better than the another across cohorts? That's where another AI-powered approach comes in: education process mining, which X-rays your teaching learning processes. So what is this education process mining? That also we'll see. Have you heard about this education process mining? Have you heard? Okay. So I'll just introduce this because I'm doing a research in this area also. One of my research scholars is doing this research. So I can't disclose everything out of it, but I'll give some conceptual things here. In AI-driven OBE, data is not a new oil, it is a new compass. Process mining tells how learning actually happened and not how thought it happened, right? So how actually the process of learning took place. That is what OBE mining is telling you. Because mining is basically work on some data, and you are getting insights from that data. So that gives us idea that how this learning has taken place in this institution. And this is where our learning analytics is basically becoming more powerful, right? So what is EPM? A method to extract, analyze and visualize learning behavior from event logs. So we got so many event logs, like we give quizzes. So have we got the behavioral idea about the students when they approach the quiz? Like how much time they spend on one question? Do we have got all that data with us? If you got this data, then we find that question number 6 was answered by every student after 10 minutes of spending time on that question. Okay, or at least 7 minutes of time. And then based on that, we can assess that was a difficulty level needed there or not, and then we can change our strategies. Okay, this is a simple example I have given you. So it works on actual learners' click streams, LMS logs, learning management system log, code commit patterns, and quiz timelines. So all this data is very important for us in this education process mining. Why it matters in OBE? OBE requires demonstration of learning outcomes, not just scores. But students may take varied, even non-optimal paths to get there. Because each student will have different paths to learn to that particular level. So EPM helps diagnose inefficiencies, detect learning bottlenecks, and recommend process redesign. So this is what is basically the objective of education process mining. Examples are: a cluster of students reach to CLO, write efficient recursive algorithm, but skip problem decomposition exercise, indicating process deviation, right? Some learners redo simulation labs multiple times before passing, indicates the need for early scaffolding. Like we need to have them build up their simulation exercises in much more better fashion so that their simulation redo are less, right? So this is how you have to look into there's examples of education mining. There are some tools, PM4, PY, Python, PromPy, Java, integrated with elements like Moodle and Canvas. But then I won't go into details of these tools, but you can very well go into, these are mechanical details you can always look into. And a lot of tools are being built, and we are also probing this performance of these tools, right? So architecture of AI-powered personalized learning plus OBE system. Think of an AI system as a teaching assistant and a process mining engine as a curriculum reviewer. The teacher remains human sense maker, right? So teacher is basically making a human sense into the system, right? And the AI-powered system is basically teaching assistant, and process mining is a curriculum reviewer. So two AI tools are with the teacher, and he's making a human sense out of that. So with outcome-based education giving us structured vision of learner success, AI becomes catalyst that makes the vision executable with scale, sensitivity, and continuous feedback. If outcome-based education defines where each learner must arrive, personalized learning powered by AI is how we ensure they each get there, not by following the same path, but by following the path that works best for them. So this is what is our ability. Like whatever path is working best for my student, they should follow that, right? Now we are coming to the last section, integrated learning systems and process mining. How we are going to integrate all these things together. What do we mean by personalized learning? Not just giving different students different resources, but adapting the pace, depth, and sequence of learning to match each learner's needs, preferences, and progress. It's about respecting diversity of cognition, that each thinking capability differences we expect that, and how different minds take different paths to mastery. The outcome is fixed, the path is flexible. The outcome is fixed. Like it is said, no, in motivational speakers, a lot of motivational speakers say that your goals should be made in concrete, but your plan should be made in sand. Okay, so that is what is basically this personalized learning is doing. That goal is basically to make students master of this area. But then what are the plans required for that? They are made as per the student's requirement. And then we can really, do the personalized learning. This is what is ideally we are talking about. In none of the institutions in India, this is made possible, right? But then we are talking about, after 10 years life. But then 10 years journey is not a discrete event. It has to evolve from a continuous journey we make towards that destination. That is what we have to incorporate in our teachings now. So in your teachings, you should give some exercises for students by making the goal in concrete, and then give them with different methods of solving that problem. Whether they want to solve it by some project-based method, whether they want to solve it by some quiz-based method, whether they want to solve by giving a talk on that topic. So whatever they want, give them flexibility of that and see their mastery. Okay, so these are the kind of exercises one can think of. I got many ideas about, for myself also, while developing this lecture. So I really thank your college for giving me an opportunity to deliver this lecture here, right? So basically, the outcome is fixed, the path is flexible, right? So why it matters now more than ever. In large classrooms, time-bound syllabi and rigid assessment fail to accommodate individual variations. Faculty efforts, no matter how sincere, can't scale to match granularity needed, right? This is where AI steps in, not to replace the teacher, but to complement them, to extend that care the teacher is taking, right? So 3 dimensions of personalization. Pace. What speed is there of the student? A student's got more time and scaffolding to master recursion. Scaffolding is basically doing all the basic things and then building it over and above, like small things. Scaffolding is basically used in terms of, say, building construction is there. So we have got, when we want to put a slab, we put all the wooden supports, all that, and then we build up over that, and then we water it and all for so many days, and then we build up that structure, right? Then path, one student revisits the concept via animation, another via coding task, and in this manner we give them different paths. Performance support, based on errors, students receive focused micro tutorials. We just don't assess them for marks. We give them some tutorials for their weaknesses, and that is how they are basically graded. Okay. So I think after some years now, we'll have to have that system wherein that Italian University has already done that whenever the student is ready, they are ready to take the exam. So that is the approach. And then I think in their mark sheet also it is not recorded that how many attempts he has done in that subject. That also might not be read. Otherwise, it is not of no use of that examination system, right? So that is how you have to look at this. Personalization and outcome-based education, OBE. I'll give the example of Kapil Dev. Kapil Dev basically became a master bowler and all-rounder. But how many failures he might be having earlier? Is there any record of that? Nobody looks into that now. They see that Kapil Dev was bowling and practicing everything till the day he retired from the cricket field. And he used to practice for any match. Wherever match he used to go for any match, he used to practice rigorously. He never left the practice, right? So how many failures he might be having? There is no record of that. But then he must be having lot of failures, right? So those who are really, if you go to the golf, ask any golf player and ask him like, how many tries, after how many tries they achieved that mastery? He says that thousands and thousands of tries. Or you go to the lawn tennis player and ask him like, how much time he spent on practice? He said, hours and hours of practice. Lena Sharapova was one of the Russian player who mastered the lawn tennis. So she used to wake up early in the morning, work for hours of practice, like 9 hours practice, and after that taking some rest, and again in night time some other practice. So she was practicing so much of time. So how many failures she might be having, right? Okay. So then what changes with the AI tools? AI reads the learner, interaction logs, quiz patterns, attention spans, and retrap behaviors. AI adopts content and challenge level in real time. Teachers receive insights, not just marks, but maps the learner's effort and learning. So we get a picture of how our students are perform, in which particular area they really perform better. So let us now explore how specific AI models like Bayesian knowledge tracing, reinforcement learning, and collaborative filtering are shaping this personalized learning journey, and how we as educators can harness them with OBE framework. How specific AI models shape personalization learning journeys. So Bayesian knowledge technique, BKT turns assessment into diagnosis. We have already seen that. Okay, so models the probability that learner has mastered specific skill and concept based on their past performance. Use Bayesian framework to update this estimate every learner's interaction. For example, quiz attempt. Why it is useful for personalized learning? Determines when learner is ready to progress, prevent unnecessary repetition if concept is mastered, and triggering remedial actions like hint generation and when mastery is uncertain. Why I repeated this? Because if repeatedly told to you 2-3 times, perhaps then you will be able to understand it in much better way, and then you will have some affinity with this. OBE alignment maps closely with the course outcomes, focus on concept level understanding, makes competency visible and trackable, enabling early interventions. Example, in data structure course, BKT tracks students' ability to apply recursion. If mastery probability is less than 0.6, the system withholds the next module and suggests additional practice problem. So we won't jump to the next module till he has mastered this module, because there is no point in going to the other modules if he has not mastered this. Then what's the use? Like suppose you are constructing a house, okay, and then say 3-story house you decided to construct, and you got a good constructing team and all came there, and then you ask them like, okay, after some days your inspector goes and asks them like, what is your performance and all. They say that foundation I did 80% okay, rooftop I did about say 70% okay, and then now we can go to the second floor. Is it good practice? It's not good practice, because after building up 2-3 layers floors, your building will come down because the foundation is not good, right? It is just 80% strong, right? So foundation has to be more than 100% stronger, right? So in this manner you have to look at your learning ability. Reinforcement learning doesn't just monitor learning, it learns how to teach. What it does, an AI agent chooses action like suggestion, quiz, video, simulation to maximize the learner's long-term success. Learner response serves as feedback, that is rewards, helping the agent improve the instructional strategy, right? What is useful in personalized learning? Personalized is not just content, but also sequence and timings also are very important, right? Balance exploration versus mastery. Should the learner try something new or go deeper? Like many times you are attempting something, okay, before building a final thing you just say that, okay, I'll roughly try here, okay, or whenever some chemical persons want to do a chemical reaction, so first they test it on some small things. We'll first see the reactions over here, and then we'll employ it on a larger scale. So in this manner, exploration is very important for your students to explore that subject. So they'll be just like giving them Edison's journey. Like Edison explored so many materials and then came to final conclusion. So similar fashion we can give them exploratory learning here. OBE alignment supports design-down principle by reverse planning the ideal learning path, toward an outcome, enable dynamic pacing while preserving clarity of focus. For example, the course of machine learning, the reinforcement learning agent decides whether the student should revise bias variance trade-off or attempt a project or watch a case study video depending on prior actions and outcome. This machine learning, see all these subjects which have come up now, they are actually taking you more near to industry now. So it is up to you now to really figure out what industry is basically employing these students for. How much time? How much time? 5 minutes. Okay. So I'll just wind up. Okay. So in this manner, you have to look at this OB alignment, and then collaborative filtering. Collaborative filtering brings peer wisdom into AI loop, what help others like you and may help you too. What it does, it builds the model learners resource interaction, who watch and recommends learning resource based on patterns in similar learners. Why it is useful in personalized learning? Learners benefit from community intelligence system without needing direct peer support, allows target resource recommendations of content, remediation and challenges. Okay, so in this manner, these three learning things we can employ, and then now I'll just go to the, so why should we integrate Bayesian knowledge and all these three techniques in personalized ecosystem? Today's learning demands diverse and dynamic and data rich. In today's classroom, physical or digital, we are not teaching just one kind of learner, but we are delivering just not one kind of content, but learning diversity, learning environment complexity, and OB system requirement. Okay. Then tracking mastery and diagnosis gaps. So these are there. Adaptive learning pathways. Then content recommendations. So this is part of the all collaborative filtering. So no single model is sufficient. Each one is basically having different strengths. So together they are reactive, proactive, and collective. These are the things which basically these learning systems are doing. So why this integrated approach is necessary? Individual learners, AI system must go beyond just guessing. It just use sophisticated methods to actively respond to the learner's behavior. And here we are basically requiring like probabilistic learning to the exact learning which is taking place. And therefore we need to associate our symbolic AI with our probabilistic AI. And those models are yet to come, but with the Prolog language and other language research is taking place, so those tools will also come up, right? Then integration enables real-time humans, like instruction. Why integration matters? A real teacher constantly shifts behavior, checking understanding, deciding what to teach next, and drawing from experience of with past students. So all these three techniques are taking you to this journey. So integrated AI models try to replicate the dynamic responsive teaching process, not statistically, but in real time with data, right? So this logic is grounded in instructional design theory, cognitive science, and systems engineering. So these three things are required here to integrate these tools together. And just as a skilled teacher diagnoses, adapts, and recalls patterns from past experience, an integrated AI system must combine knowledge, tracing, decision policy, and peer insights through BKT, RL, and CF to offer truly personalized learning that fulfills the vision of outcome-based education. And here also your education process mining is really working at the background of these things. So final thought, by integrating Bayesian knowledge tracing, reinforcement learning, and collaborative filtering, AI is not just enhancing outcome-based education, it is enabling truly personalized learning paths that adapt to each student's needs, pace, and strengths. This transforms education from fixed sequence of assessment into dynamic, continuously optimizing journey, help every learner reach their outcomes in a way that uniquely right for them. Okay, so these are the things I wanted, thoughts I wanted to express about this personalized learning, and these are the references. We are referred to all these, and from this, these slides have been prepared. So you can, those who want to go into deeper, they can go for understanding this, and much more resources are coming up. You go to the LLMs and ask for every resource analysis, and it will give you beautiful material created out of this. Okay, with this I really thank you once again for patient listening, and if you got any questions you can ask me, or you can WhatsApp me those questions anytime. Thank you very much. Exit outcome, yeah. Yeah, so exit outcome is basically like, suppose you have decided that the students who are passed with 40% marks are given the passing grade, minimum. That is your exit outcome. Whereas enabling outcome is that you are helping that student to reach that particular levels of mastery. So those outcomes are different. And those are required that how they are able to achieve at least 60 to 70% of the mastery of that particular skill, then only we can say that they should be given certification. Not just clearing that grade. So CD grade and D grade are just, they are not just good grades, right? That is what they mean. Okay.
So on behalf of the Tulsiramji Gaikwad Patil College of Engineering and Technology, I express my sincere gratitude to our today's expert, Dr. Mokhade sir from VNIT, who took lot of exhaustive effort, I could say, to prepare this specialized topic, because when I started discussion with sir, that we had a topic related to this, and it's very much specific to the content. So sir said, okay, let's see how we can do, and we could see the exhaustive content, sir, that you have shared with all the participants. And I hope that all of you might have took three outcomes from this, sir, presented to every one of you. One is the Bayesian learning, reinforced learning, and the third one, that is the collaborative learning. So I hope that you will incorporate this in your everyday teaching, and you will come up with this. So once again, thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Anup Gade, Dean R&D, to please felicitate our expert for accepting our invitation and delivering such a expert session in this particular FD. Now in next session we have with us Dr. Anup Gade sir. We will immediately start क्योंकि सर को मुझे सी ऑफ करना है. So sir's topic is natural language processing for effective communication with the student. So sir will be dealing with you about the natural language processing part. Please sir.